One of the things I loved when I was reading a little bit, there was an article that I was reading about you expected to find monsters when you went to these rallies, because a whole lot of what was coming is not the Jesus we know. It isn't another centered, self-giving love, a Christocentric, cruciform love. And so you're confused because Aunt Betty's amazing. Aunt Betty's makes the best pot roast on the planet. What's going on? And what you discovered when you went to these rallies or these revivals, which some of that language that's been usurped, that confuse, a lot of times we like to use the language of family or the language of religion to manipulate and control. But you got there and you didn't find monsters. You found brothers and sisters who are afraid, who are fearful. That's the conversation we're having. That's why you consider yourself a pastor to Christian, right? This is a ministry to Christian nationalists. I love that. Break that down. Break down how, because this isn't about us and them. That's the opposite of what we're trying to do right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not about conservative or progressive. And just a quick point, Christian nationalism is politically, it's three things. It's a political ideology, it's a tribal identity, and it's a spiritual idolatry. As a political ideology, Christian nationalism is not inherently conservative or progressive. It's just the idea that a certain people group, namely Christians, should run the state. That's it. How they run the state. I mean, there's examples of Christian nationalism that are propagating what we in America would refer to as progressive ideals. So it just so happens that American Christian nationalism right now is kind of tethered with a conservative bent. But that is not the case for all Christian nationalism. It's not inherently conservative or progressive.
Right. Wow.
The rallies and the revivals and the events that I went into because almost all my exposure was, one, through media, social media, television, and two, through people being nasty to me, to be frank, just nastiness. And so I'm just like, okay, well, that's how these people are. And then I start hanging out and I realize, oh, they're me.
Yeah.
This is the big aha moment is they're me. They feel anxious about fear of loss of something that they hold precious.
Yeah.
And they're reaching for the sword. You know what I do? I do the exact same thing when I feel fear and anxiety about losing something that's precious to me. It's just the sword that I reach for is slightly different than the sword they reach for. And so when we can recognize that all of us, like Peter in the Garden of Gethsemane, when we feel anxious of loss, our instinct is reach for the sword, even while Jesus is reaching for the cross.
There you go. Beautiful.
That in those moments, we're all like Peter.
Yeah.
Then I approach with, or at least I'm invited to approach someone who's spewing hate speech or anxiety-laden talk tracks. I approach them knowing I do that too.
Yeah.
It's just the topic's different.
Yeah.
And so I want to approach not as and this is the language that I've grown fond of using, is I want to approach people as a missionary, not a colonizer. A missionary, a good missionary. And I know there's a lot of bad stuff about missionaries, but a good missionary, just come with me. A good missionary wants to see the people they're trying to reach find Jesus, be reconciled, be redeemed, and express that in their own unique cultural way. A colonizer says, I want you to be like me.
Yeah.
And so I had to come to this moment of thinking, okay, like, I don't want them to stop eating a Cracker Barrel. I want them to follow Jesus. And even if the expression of that Jesus following, I may find distasteful or uncouth or whatever, that's not a them problem. That's a me problem.
Come on, man.
My judgment, my derision, my dehumanizing posture towards this group of people, that's not their problem. That's my problem. And so 98% of this work is in me, not in them. And so when I can be in that space, I found that my heart is more open, A, to them through hospitality, and B, and this one sucks. When I'm in that space, my heart is more open to seeing what God wants to change in me through them.
Come on, bro. That's
and I do not like that because I don't like them. I don't like their music. I don't like their accoutrement. I don't like their art. I don't like the way they talk. I think I'm better than them. I've got my act together. I'm a solid Christian. I'm a pastor, for goodness sakes. What do they have to teach me? But when I recognize that, we're all in the same playing field. I mean, there's this old statement that all ground is equal at the foot of the cross.
That's it.
And that the Lord not only, I think, wants to change something in them, but he really wants to change something in me.